Each year in the United States, thousands of major crimes go unsolved. When the case has gone cold and police have nowhere to turn, they seek assistance from the public. This is a program dedicated to solving these cases. This is Crime Stoppers Case Files.
Welcome to Crime Stoppers Miami. I'm Dick Maston, the director of Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers. The purpose of this program is to share unsolved cases with as many South Florida viewers as possible, empowering you to do something about the violence on our streets. Every case we feature is unsolved. Every case we feature has a cash reward available. In other words, every case we feature is an opportunity for you to help your city and at the same time earn Crime Stoppers cash without even giving your name. Let's get started. On March 13, 2010, 17-year-old Ladarius Frazer was murdered in Carroll City Park in Miami Gardens in front of dozens of bystanders. Here are the facts of the case.
Miami-Dade Police at fire. Where's your emergency?
He at the park. He just got shot, man. He's not breathing.
Which park?
Carroll City Park.
On Saturday, March 13, 2010 at 6:59 p.m., Miami Gardens Police Department was dispatched to Carroll City Park, reference a shooting. Upon arrival, they found the victim, Ladarius Frazer, shot multiple times and succumbed to his injuries. The Miami Gardens Carroll City Park is located in a residential area. There was multiple individuals at the park that evening. They were playing basketball. There was a children's playground that was full. There was individuals at the softball field. It was learned during the course of the investigation that approximately 4 to 5 individuals were gathered just east of the playground, located in between the children's playground and the parking lot of Carroll City Park. At some point, the victim, Ladarius Frazer, approached these individuals who were gathered up, having a conversation, and started speaking to individuals within this group. The victim became involved in a verbal argument with an unknown black male, who later becomes known as the offender. At some point during this confrontation, a handgun is displayed. Our victim, Ladarius Frazer, along with the other individuals gathered in this group, all fled on foot in multiple directions. When the shots were fired, Ladarius Frazer was struck multiple times, collapsing. The individual fled to his vehicle and drove from the scene. The vehicle was described as a 4-door white Nissan Maxima. It fled in an unknown direction. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue arrived on scene and performed life-saving measures to revive Mr. Frazer. Unfortunately, Mr. Frazer succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced deceased on the scene.
I just pray that you just somehow just turn yourself in so you can stop this stabbing that I'm feeling in my heart.
Someone shot and killed Ladarius Frazer at this park in Miami Gardens during a dice game this past weekend. Ladarius died right here on the scene, and no one knows why. Not even Ladarius' mother, who told us her son, who was an aspiring architect getting his GED, became misguided.
He just felt in the wrong crowd.
Police clear Miami Carroll City Park, pushing Derrick Macon away from the place where one of his closest friends died in his arms.
How you could just have a person in your hand fighting for their life, and he ain't giving you no feedback, but you talking to him, you screaming at him, and you going nuts.
Ladarius Frazer's life remembered in T-shirts, and at this growing memorial site, a monument to a teenage life ended over a game of dice.
I had blood all over my body. I just took off the bloody clothes about 2 hours ago. I couldn't even sleep. I couldn't bathe. I was stuck when I got home.
Quanisha Johnson tells us her cousin Ladarius often played dice, a game she wished he would have stayed away from.
I don't even think he should have been playing dice that night. He should have just stayed in the house like his mama told him to.
Police say the shooting seemed to come out of an argument stemming from the game, and this is not the first time dice has been linked to a shooting in South Florida. Last year, 9 people were gunned down while sitting around a craps game in Liberty City.
That's a part of the culture that's on the street.
George Ellis Jr. runs Miami's River of Life. It's a program for at-risk youth. He says dice is a game that's plagued young teens for many years.
It's a street money maker, you know, and with the way economics is right now in our community, young people are going and resorting to things that most of us who are working every day don't traditionally be a part of.
The victim, Ladarius Frazer, fled west towards the children's playground, fleeing for his life. As shots were fired, there was innocent families playing in that area as Ladarius was struck. And this just shows that the offender had no regard for the safety or due care of anyone's life at that location. He was willing to take the life of a 17-year-old boy and fire rounds at individuals, children, and other family members that were not involved in this verbal confrontation. Ladarius Frazer was only 17 years old when his life was taken from him. He's survived by his mother, his father, and his brothers and sisters. They, along with the Miami Gardens Police Department, is asking for your help to solve this crime. My direct line at the Miami Gardens Police Department is 305-474-1622, or contact Crime Stoppers in Miami-Dade County at 305-471-TIPS, and your tip will remain anonymous.
Miami Gardens Police need your help solving this crime. The suspect in this case is described as a lighter complected black male with tattoos, wearing jeans, a tank top, and tan work boots. He may have fled in a white Nissan Maxima. If you have any information that may help solve this case, call Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. And when we come back, it was said to be one of the largest mass shootings in Miami history, the Liberty City Massacre.
In 1975, the first Crime Stoppers organization was formed by a detective who believed media attention helped solve cases. Since then, thousands of Crime Stoppers organizations have been formed around the globe with the same mission, encouraging members of the public to stand up against crime. Every 14 minutes, Crime Stoppers help solve a crime somewhere in the world. Get involved. Contact your Crime Stoppers organization and learn how you can help. Leave a tip, crimestoppersone.com.
On January 23, 2009, around 9:50 p.m., near Northwest 15th Avenue and 70th Street, a gunman fired indiscriminately at a crowd of people during a street dice game. It left 7 wounded and 2 dead. It was said to be one of the largest mass shootings in Miami history. Here's the story of the Liberty City Massacre.
Brandon was the youngest out of 4 kids that I had, and he was a good baby. From a baby to 16 years of living. He was well known around the community. He was more of a laid-back kid. He didn't do too much of talking. He was very active in the community, you know, parks, playing sports, and school events as well. At home, he was more of like a mama's boy. Everything mama, 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 but he was real good kid and laid back.
Derrick is my only son and my first child. He's the only boy of 7 girls. He loved being around his little sisters.
He's a real busybody. He always got something going on, want to do something, got somewhere to go, somewhere to be. So it was hard to keep up with him, you know.
Derrick was very sociable. He easily made friends wherever he went. His choice of friends, some good, some bad, but then he knew how to stay away from the bad ones.
He was a jokester, you know what I'm saying? He liked to play, you know, play games on you.
He was a clown at times. He made us happy. He loved his family.
We had a good relationship, you know. I mean, he was 11 years old. I had to go away, you know, I had got incarcerated. But from the time, you know, while I was in jail, you know, me and him always talk, you know. I always try to talk to him at least 2 times out the week, you know what I'm saying, to check on my little man and to see how he doing. And try to like be a parent from jail and give him some advice and guidance. Just, you know, kind of like pry into his life and ask questions just to help him out, you know what I mean, because it was only so much I could do, you know, because my hands was tied. I tried to give him some encouraging words, you know, as a father, you know what I'm saying, and do my job from jail, you know, no matter where.
Well, the 2 young men that were killed there at the scene were Brandon Mills and Derrick Gloster, both of whom are part of families that didn't deserve to have their family member taken from them, much less in the way that this occurred. They were young men with a future ahead of them and tragically had their futures cut short.
Miami Police Department, how may I help you?
Yes, there's been some shooting on Northwest 70th Street and 15th Avenue.
What happened?
He just got shot up. My sister got shot too.
How many shots have you heard?
I heard about 15 shots. I hit the floor when I heard the noise. Then I hear a lot of yelling outside now. Oh my God! Nobody, only the police is here. The ambulance is not here.
On the way, ma'am. They're on the way.
Okay, thank you.
January 23rd, 2009 at approximately 9:50 p.m. at the corner or the intersection of Northwest 15th Avenue and 70 Street in Miami, Florida. The area is known as Model City, formerly known as Liberty City. This store, which is located on the northwest corner of the intersection, has the front door that faces diagonally towards 15th Avenue. 15th Avenue has always been known as a very high crime area. 15th Avenue usually is occupied by businesses on the avenue side, and east and west of the avenue you have residences. On January 23rd, 2009, there were a large number of individuals congregated on the east side of the grocery store. According to witnesses, they were playing a dice game, which is very common in that area. The crowd of individuals that were playing the so-called dice game were predominantly young males, possibly in their teens and their 20s. And at one point, an individual came from the west side of 15th Avenue, armed with an assault rifle, and proceeded to indiscriminately shoot at the individuals involved in the game. As the subject opened fire on the crowd, they all proceeded to run in different directions. There were a total of 9 victims that were shot. 2 victims died as a result of the shooting, one of them being Brandon Mills and the other victim being Derrick Gloster. It is believed at the time of the shooting that possibly after hearing the shots, a large number of individuals also came out to see what was occurring. And this was a very chaotic scene. You have bodies strewn all over the street, people bleeding. It's just the immensity of the scene. Police cars coming from every direction, rescues involved, the number of rescues involved to transport the victims to the hospital.
And I went driving to the site that they told me. I was like, no way that could be Derrick laying there. And that scene plays in my head over and over again.
Bullet shells everywhere around. Everybody was everywhere, you know, and it was just horrible how all the kids was laying out all on the ground, you know. I couldn't believe it because I wouldn't think in the world that this would happen, because Brandon wasn't a kid that actually hung around that neighborhood.
I had to deal with that while I was in jail on my own. I spent a lot of time in my room, in my cell, by myself crying, you know what I'm saying, letting tears out, you know, as a man for my child.
On January 23rd, 2009, at approximately 9:50 p.m., a large number of individuals were at the intersection of 15th Avenue and Northwest 70 Street when an unknown black male armed with an assault rifle proceeded to start shooting at these victims that were, according to witnesses, playing a dice game.
Community leaders in Miami banding together and sending a unified, loud message. Gun violence will not be tolerated.
I don't know how I'm gonna go on. He was my heart. He was my baby.
Tangela Graham's baby was in a crowd of more than 50 Friday night watching a game of dice. Moments later, they were sprayed with bullets. More than 100 bullet casings found at the scene.
I want them to turn themselves in. They took everything from me.
9 people were hit, including 18-year-old Derrick Gloster and 16-year-old Brandon Mills.
He was well-mannered, soft-talking, good kid. And I haven't questioned God yet. But I do have a problem on how he died.
How LaSonia Mills' son died, these 5 mothers now share in common. There are kids killed in the streets of Liberty City, the majority by boys not even old enough to legally buy a beer.
School officials say 6 of the 9 people involved in the shooting were or are students from Northwestern High School. Michelle Spence-Jones is the commissioner for this area. She calls the shooting senseless and awful and hopes it will light a fire under residents to get involved and take back their community.
The president has called for us for an era of responsibility. It is time for everybody in this community to wake up and do something about what's happening in our neighborhoods. We cannot afford to lose any more young people to gun violence.
There are individuals that have information about this case. We not only look for people who know information about what happened based on their own observations that evening, but who may have information that they received either prior to this homicide or subsequent to the homicide occurring. And that is the group of people that we are, at this point, reaching out for and asking that they call the homicide office or the Crime Stoppers office.
The suspect was described and is believed to have been a black male in his 20s, approximately 6'3" in height. If anyone has information, we are asking them to please call Crime Stoppers, where your identity will remain anonymous, or they can call the City of Miami Police Department, the Homicide Unit, at 305-603-6350.
The littlest things help. You know, the little bit of information you might not think that mean nothing. It might make the case.
That will bring a little bit peace to my heart and my soul.
I know that God is awesome. He is everything. I just have faith that one day this case is gonna get solved.
Police are looking for a black male, approximately 6 feet 3 inches tall, who unleashed a hail of bullets on a street dice game. If you can help police solve this crime, please call Miami-Dade Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS. The reward for this case is up to $50,000. Welcome back to Crime Stoppers, South Florida Case Files. I'm Dick Maston. It's been proven that programs such as ours solve crimes after several airings of a case. With that in mind, we'd like to quickly review a case that was featured on a previous episode. On October the 11th, 2009, 24-year-old Ernesto Ardines was parked with a friend outside North Twin Lakes Elementary School when he was killed. Here's the story.
On October 11th, 2009, we received a call of an accident involving a silver Lexus at the intersection of West 12th Avenue and 68th Street. Once we arrived there, it was determined that an initial incident occurred of a shooting in the area of West 7th Avenue and 76th Street in the city of HIALEAH. Ernesto Ardines and his girlfriend pulled them to a parking lot of North Twin Lakes Elementary. The victim, Ernesto Ardines Otero, was sitting in a vehicle with his girlfriend. The girlfriend was in the driver's seat while he was reclined in the passenger seat. While they're sitting in their vehicle, some time elapses and a subject approaches the car from the passenger side where Ernesto's is sitting and starts shooting the vehicle. He turns to her and says, get out of here," in Spanish. She looks over and sees a male dressed completely in black, holding a firearm, and as she reverses, she hears shots being fired. The unknown male shots numerous shots inside the vehicle, striking our victim in the upper body. As the driver was in reverse, trying to get out, flee from the scene, he continued to shoot the vehicle as she's driving reverse until she actually went forward away from him. The unknown male flees on foot towards West 7th Avenue. She continues, calls 911 en route. She goes all the way to West 4th Avenue, makes a right turn, gets to West 68th Street, and then starts going to Palmetto Hospital, which is located on the other side of the city. While en route to the hospital, she loses control of her vehicle because she's on the phone with 911 and she ends up in an accident with other vehicles.
We need the public's help in finding them. Anybody who heard or saw anything, please call the HIALEAH Police Department at 305-687-2525, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 305-471-TIPS, and you can always remain anonymous. There is up to a $5,000 reward being offered for anybody with the tips who can lead to our suspect.
Crime Stoppers of Miami-Dade has one goal: to make the streets safer for law-abiding citizens by solving cases and capturing criminals. To learn more about your local Crime Stoppers, become a fan on Facebook or log on to crimestoppersmiami.com. I'm Dick Maston. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of Crime Stoppers Miami.